And we're going to go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to turn off the Christmas music and get started. Again, if you're just joining, tell me in the chat where you're joining from. That would be wonderful, and your role. I am thrilled that you are here, specifically to talk about goal setting for faster results and how to make 2022 a high impact year. Goal setting for faster results, how to make 2022 a high impact year. And if you're not familiar, my name is John Eads. I'm with PeopleBox. I am thrilled that you're here. I know we're in an online environment, and if you've been at any of our other webinars over the last few months, being in an online environment is great because we get to connect people from all over the world. The downside is that your work is not stopping. Whether you're in Ireland or India or the Philippines or Arizona, all different time zones, and your phone can still go off and people can still need you. Now, you've decided to be here today, so I thought I would start with a little story. If you've been on some of our other webinars, you might have seen this, but I think it's important for us all to remind ourselves of. See, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, on the East Coast of the United States. And just recently, we had this beautiful fall evening. It was wonderful. The temperature went down to about 45 or to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. That really cooled down. So I did what any great dad would do. I got out my fire pit. I was just thrilled. We got the golf net out. We got my favorite drink. I put some ribs on the grill and some broccoli, and I just got lost in this unbelievable fall evening. But what happened was I got distracted by this wonderful evening and everything else going on. And when I woke up in the morning, I had an enormous hole in my deck. That's my little daughter, Lucy. She couldn't believe what Dad did. And believe me, Mommy didn't like it either. Now, I share this story with you, not to just show you how dense I can be sometimes, but because we all are susceptible to get distracted. And because we're in this online environment with your email still going and your work still going on, there's a chance that you can get distracted over the next 30 to 45 minutes that we're going to be together today. So if you're willing to lock in with me over the next 30 to 45 minutes, I just want you to tell me yes in the chat. I don't want, you're gonna not get distracted. You're gonna get focused. You're gonna turn off that email, and you're gonna really be here to do some work to help you or the leaders in your organization achieve more things in 2022. Sandra, thank you. I see it. Yes. Joseph, yes. Zeus, yes. That's amazing. I'm going to watch this chat. I want to see these yeses come in, because the more focused you are, the more you're going to get out of this session. And because you're going to be focused today, all I can do is I'm going to guarantee you that I'm going to give you my very best effort to help you in 2022 or the leaders in your organization. I'm actually going to go on my phone right now just to show you. I'm going to go to settings, and I'm going to go on airplane mode just so you can see it. I've proven it on you. Emma, thank you. Be focused until you need to leave. I appreciate that. Now, if you stick around to the end and be an active participant, we have an awesome giveaway as well as a great opportunity for you at the end. So be sure to stick around and be an active participant. It will help you. So just keep that in mind. Just a quick introduction for me. If you're not familiar, my name is John Eads. I'm the author of a book called Building the Best. I host a podcast called Follow My Lead. I write a weekly LinkedIn newsletter that has over 230,000 subscribers, where we look to transfer best practices to help you lead your best. And for the last 10 plus years, we've studied over 65,000 leaders, and we've partnered with PeopleBox. And the reason why I share this with you is not to impress you, but to impress upon you that I live, eat, breathe, sleep methods and techniques to help leaders be more effective. And I am so excited to share some ideas with you to either help you leading your team in 2022 or to help you help your leaders lead better in 2022. And earlier this year, I got a great call from the CEO of PeopleBox, a wonderful man named Abhinav. And Abhinav said, John, let's do something together. I know you're helping on the training and the coaching side, and we provide world-class software and tools to help managers and organizations to build engaged and high-performing teams. And I literally leapt at the opportunity because of the alignment of what this organization, PeopleBox, exists for and what I had done for 10 plus years. And we're going to get the opportunity today during our time to look at some of these tools and things to help you. But again, this is the purpose of that is not to just talk about PeopleBox. It's to help you get better results in 2022. If you have questions about PeopleBox, we'll have opportunities to do that as we go on. You can use the chat to help you do that as we go. All right, you guys ready to rock and roll? All right, well, let's start with a story. We'll start with a story. Now, I want you to imagine today there are two groups of people that get into two different boats, captained by two different captains. All right, let's make sure we're on the same page. We have two groups of people that get into two different boats, captained by two different captains. Now, the first group starts rowing as fast as they can, all at seemingly different speeds. And when adversity starts to hit, the tide comes a different direction, the weather turns bad, people start going at different speed, the boat starts turning. Eventually, after so long, some of the members just decide to jump out and swim to the shore. And they just decide to give up. And they pull closer to the shore, just enough time to get somebody else on that boat to start rowing frantically as fast as they can. And the group just keeps rowing and rowing, but nobody knows why. They're so focused on the gap and how slow they're going and the problems. They're not focused on really the progress that they've made. Now, the second group is different. When they first get in the boat, the captain provides some clarity about where they are going and when they need to get there by, and how it's everyone's job on this boat to help make it happen. When people get tired or when these adversities hit in the boat, one team member steps up and helps another to make sure that they're not just only doing the ones doing the work, and they help their teammates in a selfless way. When they get to their destination, they celebrate together, and they celebrate the gain, the achievements, and they actually look forward to the next ride together. So the question I have for you today is, which boat would you rather be in? Would you rather be in boat one, with the captain that thought they were leading their team, but she wasn't? Or would you rather be in boat two, where you had a sense for getting in this boat and knowing that it was going to be tough and rowing anyways and being a part of a team? Which boat would you rather be in? I see all the twos coming in the chat. And the reason for that is the first group was simply a group of people in a boat rowing, not knowing where they were going. The second boat, led by the other captain, they were actually a team. Because see, a team by definition I'm going to put this up full screen. A team, by definition, is a group of individuals coming together to achieve a common goal. A group of people, of individuals coming together to achieve a common goal. See, so many of us think we're a part of a team because we work with others at work, but that's not often the case. We're simply a collection of individuals or a group of people. We're not actually a team. But boat number 2, the captain of that boat had it right. She was leading a team. She got people on the same page, rowing in the same direction, knowing where they were going. Not saying it was going to be easy, but knowing that if we're going to get to our destination, if we're going to achieve some things together, we're going to need everyone on this boat to make it happen. Too often, leaders think they're leading a team, but in fact, they're simply leading a group of people. So this is our first opportunity where I need your participation today. I'm going to put a poll up here on the screen. What percentage of employees can name one of the top 3 goals of your team or organization? If you're simply here because you're trying to look for better ways to just help your team, great. If you're here because of all the leaders in your organization, I want you to think of it on a macro level. What percentage of employees can name one of the top 3 goals of your team or organization? Remember, your participation is going to enter you in to win some incredible prizes. So help me out here. I see this number going up. 15 more seconds. What percentage of employees can name one of the top 3 goals of your team or organization? All right, 5 more seconds. Fantastic participation. That means a lot to me. All right, let's share these results with you. What percentage of employees can name one of the top 3 goals of your team or organization? 25% of you said between 16 and 35%. 25% of you. What research shows us is that only 15% of employees can name one of the top 3 goals of your team or your organization. That confirms essentially, maybe you're just a little bit ahead of what research shows us. But it's pretty amazing to think that we're here to get better results in 2022. And we know having a clear place to go now and setting some clear goals and direction is important. However, most of our team members, only 15%, and the majority of you, only 16 to 35% of employees might be able to tell us one of our top 3 goals. And now I'm going to share some hard truth with you. You ready? I'll go full screen on this. What this shows us is that employees are not the problem. The problem is the system, and leaders are responsible for the system. I love this from Edward Deming. He's kind of the grandfather of change management. And when I read this in his book, I was just blown away, because all of a sudden, as leaders, it's so easy. It's so easy for us to think that our team members are the problem. But in fact, they're not. The system is the problem. But you as a leader, or the leaders in your organization, they're responsible for the system. And that might be some hard truths, because a lot of you on this call today, you might be thinking, John, I have a system, or I have goals for my team, but we're just not exactly achieving them the way that we want to. If you've defined some goals for your team, or you think the leaders in your team have done a good job of defining some goals or a system of achievement in your organization, I want you to pat yourself on the back. But before you do that, you're probably here because we're not achieving what we want to achieve. So why might that be? I thought it would be valuable to just highlight some of the things that we've learned in our research from why teams that even do set some goals or create a system for performance don't achieve what they're intended to. So, as you might imagine, what are some of the reasons why systems or goals fail? The first is there's a lack of clarity about the goals or the system. We're just like the last poll, we're not exactly sure what our goals or our system is. The second big reason, there's a lack of commitment to those goals. I might know what they are, but I'm not committed to going to achieve them. I mean, my leader told me what we're trying to achieve, but whether we get there or not, I'm not that committed to it. And I learned a long time ago that there's a big difference in being interested and being committed. If a team lacks commitment, the goals will not be achieved. So we got to get our team to buy in to that commitment. Number three, the agreement to the goals. Meaning, I might know what they are. I might have clarity. I might be somewhat committed, but I don't have a deep agreement. I don't really think this is the right direction that we're going or the right thing that we should be going to achieve. So I don't actually agree. So I create some dissension between the team. It's like we've all been in that meeting where everyone shakes their head. They're like, yep, yep. And then the minute we leave that meeting or the minute we get on our next Zoom call, all of a sudden that person is telling you, I don't really know. That doesn't seem right. There's an old story about the road to Abilene. And if you've never heard of it, it's great. It's like this team, the CEO comes in and he says, hey, I think it's a great idea that we go to take the road to Abilene. That's where our organization needs to go. And everyone's like, yeah, yeah. And everyone starts shaking their head. And all of a sudden, the CEO says, yeah, we should go to Abilene, right? And everyone's like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's go to Abilene. And all of a sudden, the team is on the road to Abilene. But the problem is the road to Abilene is the road to nowhere. And all because we don't have agreement on what we're going or people willing to speak up that isn't where we should be going, or at least questioning that as an objective. And then lastly, coaching to achieve the goals. And we'll get into this more later on. So if you're curious right now, I've set some goals in 2021 or some short-term goals and we haven't achieved them. Why they might not have been achieved, I can almost assure you that you could point to one of these four reasons. If you're still with me, just tell me, yes, this makes sense to you. Because we've all been there. We've all been trying to achieve things with a team and we haven't gotten there. And often we just want to know why. Now, over the last few years, we've done a lot of research about what teams and organizations are doing to achieve the outcomes that they want, to achieve the goals that they want in 2022. And I'm going to share an example. It's what we're really calling the centers of excellence. It's when each team is a center of excellence. And we like to define it as crossbars, standards, and shelters. Crossbars, standards, and shelters. Does anybody know what do you think I mean by crossbars, standards, and shelters? Does anybody recognize those three terms and how they go together? Tell me in the chat. What is crossbars, standards, and shelters? Where do those go together? Philip says he's not familiar, and that's okay. That's okay. No idea. Excited to hear about it, Sandra says. Crossbars, standards, and shelters. I'm going to show you a picture here. What crossbar standards and shelters are actually from a high jump. A high jump. So when you start thinking about creating a center of excellence of a team or an organization, what you can think about is in our research is that the crossbar is that bar going across on the top. It's the bar that we're trying to jump over. Without the crossbar, we're not going to keep getting a little bit better or a little bit better or achieving a little bit more. We're susceptible to whatever the winds of the market or what's going on. It gives us to something to go achieve. That's the crossbar. The standards are the bars going up on the side. They're what makes the bar actually keep going up. Or if we need to adjust it down to a more realistic level, we can do that too. A standard, those things that are on the side. I teach this all the time in our workshops. A standard is simply defining what good looks like. Good leaders define what good looks like. Great leaders define what great looks like. So we have the crossbar that sets how high we're trying to jump, what we're trying to achieve. It might be the goal. The standards are how we keep raising that goal up and down based on the current environment. And then, as you guessed it, the shelter is that pad that we're going to land on, that we know if we don't meet that goal or we get close to meeting that goal, we've created a culture that says it's okay, let's get back up and let's do it better the next time. One of my favorite sayings of all time. I want you to write this down. I wrote it in Building the Best. All right, if you have a pad, I want you to write this down. Failure is not final. Failure is feedback. Failure is not final. Failure is feedback. If we keep raising the bar, the crossbars, and the standards keep going up, there is a chance that we won't actually be able to jump over it. But if our culture doesn't support failure as an option and learning from that so we get better, all of a sudden, this bar that we keep raising, people are eventually going to be like, I'm done with this bar. I'm done with these goals because they're not realistic. And when we don't meet them, nobody cares. So let's recap the centers of excellence. If you want to create more engaged and high-performing teams, I want you to think of it as crossbars, standards, and excellence, and shelters. Sorry, crossbars, standards, and shelters. Bars, the goals, standards, raising and lowering them, and a shelter, a place where people feel like I'm going to be free to do my very best work, and I might or might not make it, but either way, we're going to learn from it. You guys with me? Okay, now what you came here today for. What are some strategies, some how-to make goal setting in 2022 a high impact year? 4 strategies for goal setting to make 2022 a high impact year. Now, I'm going to share some ideas with you. There's a chance you might already be doing them. That's amazing. Let it confirm what we're seeing in the workplace, that you're doing some of the right things. If it challenges you to think a little bit differently or to evaluate how I'm or we're doing things, that's great too. My mentor, Pat Lencioni, told me a long time ago, he said, John, people need to be reminded more than they need to be taught. Allow this, if you're doing it, to be a reminder to reinforce what we're trying to do in 2022 to meet our objectives and our goals. Okay, are you guys ready? Number 1 is to select a method. Make sure you write this down. Number 1, select a method. Now, you have OKRs and KPIs and GPIs. And I mean, I'm pretty sure if your goal setting method isn't a 3-letter acronym, it's not a goal setting method. And while what we're going to talk about today is OKRs, the truth is, I don't really care which method that you choose or your organization chooses for that matter. I mean, as a former professional golfer and competitive golfer that played in college, I've learned over the years that there's a lot of different methods to swing a golf club. There's a lot of different methods to set goals. The key is to choose one. I'm going to say that again. The key is to choose one, because when you choose a method, it increases your belief. And here's what you can write down if you want something to take away with you today. Any method increases belief. And belief is a required ingredient for results. Say it one more time. Any method increases belief, and belief is a required ingredient for results. Now, I say all this. There could be better methods than other for your team or your organization. And the one that I'm going to share with you today is OKRs, but I don't pretend it's the only one, and I don't pretend it's necessarily perfect for you or for your organization. But what I want you to know is you've got to commit to a method. Because if you have all different kinds of methods, or 1 month you're doing this and the next month you're doing that, it's going to trickle down to your people that we don't believe in this leader. He or she doesn't know what she's doing. So select a method. Okay, here's the next poll question for you. Let's see if we can get this on the screen, because I think this is an important one. Number 2 here, launch poll. What goal setting method do you use, or do the leaders in your organization use today? OKRs, KPIs, WIP, what's important, what's most important, GPI, other, it varies. What goal setting method do you use, or do the leaders in your organization use? Okay, just 15 more seconds. Keep it going. All right. Let's see, share results. So 50% of you use OKRs, 44% KPIs, 6% it varies. Again, this is great information. I appreciate you participating. That helps us too as we continue to research and look for better ways to help you. Now, for those of you that use OKRs or KPIs, that's fine. What we're going to just review today for a method is OKRs. If you're interested in them, you could think of it this way. I'll go full screen. If you're not familiar with OKRs, just bear with me for a minute. Or if you are an expert in it, just let this be a reminder. OKRs are objectives and key results. It's a goal-setting method that became very famous because of Google and their work coming out and scaling and growing. It's caught on like wildfire in many technology companies. It's a fantastic method. And the objective, the O, provides direction. And it answers the question, where are we trying to go? Where are we trying to go? It's inspirational. It's something that gives us some vision that we're going someplace better than we are today. I think of that old Napoleon quote, a leader's responsibility is to define reality and to deliver hope. The O, the objective, provides hope. It provides us a better place that we're trying to get to. Now, a key result, on the other hand, is more of a target. And it answers the question, I'll go full screen so you can see it. how will we how will we know we are going in the right direction? I apologize for the misspelling. How will we know we're going in the right direction? So the objective is the direction, the way the boat is moving. If we go back to our story from the beginning, we know we're trying to go in this direction, and the key results show us or demonstrate to us that we're moving in the right direction. I saw a story yesterday. Two girls were leaving college to go home, and they were trying to go to Wilmington, and they put Wilmington into the GPS, but instead of going to Wilmington, Delaware, they went to Wilmington, North Carolina, and they were 3 states apart, all because they put in where they wanted to go, but they didn't know that they were getting there the right way. So you can think of that objective, that where we're going, where we're trying to go, and the key result is to demonstrate that we're moving in the right direction as we go, so we don't arrive at the wrong location. Now, if you are familiar with OKRs, you could think of the benefits this way. And I love these because they're so simple. They inspire people to go, it breathes life into them to go do more, be a part of something. It fills you up versus feeling like you got the life sucked right out of you. Number 2, it creates clarity. It clarifies where we're trying to go. So we lose that ambiguity. And all of a sudden, instead of team members like, what are we doing? Where are we going? We know exactly what we're trying to get to. And then maybe most importantly, it prioritizes. Instead of trying to do 100 things, we've codified them down to just 3 or 5 things. And that is the most important things that we're trying to do. So if something doesn't fall in these OKRs or the priorities, we get to say, hey, it doesn't mean it's not important. It's just not important right now. And if leaders would just buy into this idea that if I can create inspiration, if I can create clarity, and I can prioritize what's most important, they would be so amazed at what their teams would achieve. That's OKRs, okay? We're just hitting on the surface. If you have questions or details, our team they're experts in OKRs. We have a lot of support that we can provide you here, but in one of the key benefits of PeopleBox is providing one place for all your OKRs or for your goal setting or your KPIs or whatever it might be. Giving one place for people, either if you're leading a team or you're leading an organization, to see what our OKRs are and how we're tracking against those on an ongoing basis. And maybe most importantly, it can be aligned from top to bottom, all the way from the executive team down to departments, even down to individuals. So number 1, select a method. If it's OKRs, great. If it's something else, great. But don't start 2022 without a method for goal setting. You guys with me? Tell me yes in the chat. Number 1, select a method. Select a method. Okay, number 2, and maybe my favorite of all, which is make them shorter. Make them shorter. Now, what most people do, and what I've been guilty of doing so many times, it almost makes me sick, is that I create these great goals at the beginning of a year, or I create these great goals for a 5 or 10-year goal, and I forget that, execution is on a much shorter timeline. So what we have to do is we have to make them shorter. And for those of you are in America or you follow the game of golf, last weekend, Tiger Woods, who was in a horrific car accident, the greatest golfer of all time, unquestionably, was in a horrific car accident last February. It was a possible amputation of his leg. No one thought he would ever play golf again. And it was just horrific. He didn't play for 11 months. And last weekend, he returned to the game in the PNC father-son event, and he played with his 12-year-old son, Charlie. And it was amazing to see him return. And Lee Trevino, I think a 86-year-old professional golfer, said it well. He said, whatever time limit you give him, he will beat it. Think about that. Whatever time limit you give him, he will beat it. And there's an old story about Elon Musk that I just love. He said, if you give yourself 30 days to clean your home, it will take you 30 days. If you give yourself 3 hours, it will take 3 hours. So the same applies to your goals and your ambitions and your potential. If we simply make them shorter, we're going to achieve them in that amount of time, and we're going to be more focused. So if you're taking notes at home, here's what I want you to write down. Big results are achieved when goals are made shorter. Big results are achieved when goals are made shorter. So you can think about this. If you think of what Google's done in so many of these organizations that have been really successful in their goal setting, instead of these big annual goals, they create quarterly OKRs. They dig in and they say, in Q1, here's what our OKRs here are. Here's what our objectives. Here's our key results. And we're just going to lock in and focus on these 3 to 5 OKRs for this department or this team in the first quarter of 2021. We'll do the second quarter planning come March. Reevaluate where we are. Now, there's nothing wrong if you create some big goals for 2022. But if that's all you do, you're going to come up short. I am living proof of this. In 2021, I set 3 big goals for myself for the year. And I didn't achieve one of them. And the reason why is I didn't break them into smaller goals. I didn't focus on them in a monthly or a quarterly basis. I made progress towards all 3 of those goals, but I didn't achieve one of them. And it saddens me to say that, but it's true. So big results are achieved when goals are made shorter. Challenge yourself or coach the leaders in your organization to chop up their goals into quarterly or monthly numbers so our teams can stay more focused. In PeopleBox, it looks like this. Focus on your quarterly goals. You can have annual, but you can also see them quarterly. And we can track and measure against those quarterly updates, quarterly goals. Okay, number 3. I know we're rocking and rolling here on number 3, keep them visual and updated. Keep them visual and updated. Now, we've all been a part of a team that we create these big goals, and then we get to the end of the year and we're like, hey, did we achieve those? Or we fall behind, and so we stop documenting them. We stop going back to them because we're falling behind and no one wants to deal with reality. We've all been there. It's not just you. One of my executive coaching clients, we work with all the leaders and their management team, and then the next level as well. And I'm amazed when I look at the leaders that are high performing, they update those OKRs and those goals on a weekly basis, whether the results are good or bad. Because they know that if goals are reinforced, goals that are reinforced impact the behavior people demonstrate. Write that down. Goals that are reinforced impact the behavior people demonstrate. If we stop keeping our goals visual or not updating them on an ongoing basis, all of a sudden people's behavior changes. Versus if we keep that goal up to date, people can opt to change their behavior to improve where we are today versus just not knowing. That doesn't make any sense. This is where accountability comes in, maybe more than ever. Keep your goals visual and updated so people know where we stand and how we're tracking against what we're trying to achieve. This is one of the biggest gaps lowest performing managers that aren't have centers of excellence make is they don't keep their goals visual and updated. Again, in PeopleBox, you can sync key results and updates from wherever your projects and tasks are. If you're using Slack, the notifications go right into Slack to help your teammates check in on goals on an ongoing basis if it requires a manual effort. Number 3, keep them visual and updated. All right, the last one for today, and if we're going to really make a mark in 2022, is to act as a coach. Act as a coach. I mean, this is one that hits so home to me because if right now, if I asked each of you to raise your hands above your head as high as you can, go ahead. Just go along with me. Let me turn this off. Raise your hands above your head as high as you can. Now, go a little bit higher. And go a little bit higher. I share that exercise with you because so often we think we only go to the point in which it gets uncomfortable. And what's required often is for somebody else to help us go a little bit higher, to get a little bit further, to stretch ourselves a little bit more past that uncomfortable zone. And it teaches us a really important lesson. Sustained excellence and the achievement of goals doesn't happen independently. Sustained excellence and the achievement of goals doesn't happen independently. It's often somebody else who acts as a coach that helps us get where we're trying to go. Doesn't mean they give them all the answers, doesn't mean they do the work for them, but we have someone acting as a coach. And if you're a chief of staff or if you're a manager of a team, part of your role that you have to act on is that of a coach. Now, I teach this in our Coaching for Excellence workshops, and we wrote about it in Building the Best, but I love this because the definition of coaching that I want to use today is improving the current and future performance of others to achieve higher levels of excellence. Improving the current and future performance of others to achieve higher levels of excellence. You're the person that can help others do that. Because this word, where it comes from the word carriage. Literally back in the day, coach came from the word carriage, which meant that, excuse me, it meant that to take someone from point A to point B. And why I'm referring to this carriage in almost 2022 is I don't want you to think of yourself as a carriage. I want you to think of yourself as an Uber coach. At any point, my job is to help my team members or my managers, whatever your role is, to improve their current and future performance to achieve higher levels of excellence. At any point, you got to be thinking like an Uber driver. Oh, I need to pick them up right now. I need to help them right now. I need to ask a great coaching question. The mindset that I want you to get into is that of an Uber coach. All right, so how do you do it? I mean, look, people say to me, John, that's a great idea and great concept, but our people really stink at coaching. They just give their people the answers when there are problems, or they know it and we're so busy, so they just tell them what to do. Well, my friends, all that's doing is withholding the development of your people, and it's creating a culture of micromanagement. It's not actually advancing the organization forward. It's actually holding it back. So I'm huge on how-tos. I want you to leave with things that you can go apply. So if you're going to act as a coach, here are some of my favorite coaching techniques and strategies. Most of them start with W. How is life going outside of work? What was a highlight and low light from last week? What do you think we should do to create the best result for everyone? Walk me through your thought process. Is there anything I can do that would help you perform at your best? All of these coaching techniques and strategies are focused on growth and curiosity, not judgment. If you're going to act as a coach, it's not that you're judging your people. It's trying to get curious and to get them to think about things differently. Pull that information out of your team members or out of your managers versus just telling them what to do. I hope these ideas will be helpful. Again, if you want, take a screenshot, take a picture, arm yourself or your managers with some of these questions. They are so powerful for both one-on-ones and instantaneous problems that that managers are asked. Great coaching questions. Take a screenshot. Okay, there you have it. Let's recap. 4 strategies for goal setting to make 2022 a high impact year. Number 1, select a method. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's OKRs, great. If it's KPIs, great. Whatever your method, make sure you have one selected, because if you have a method selected, it will increase the belief of your team, and belief is required for success. Number 2, make goals shorter. Yearly goals are great. 5-year goals are awesome. The shorter you make them, the higher the likelihood you have your team of achieving them. Break them down into quarterly or monthly goals. And then that leads to number 3, keep them visual and updated. Even if they're not what you want, by keeping them visual and keeping them updated, it allows our team to stay motivated and to look for some different things to do in order to achieve that goal. Or we could be flexible and adjust that goal based on the current environment. And then number 4, act as a coach. If you think we can just set goals and expect our people to get there, you're making a horrible mistake, because sustained excellence and the achievement of goals don't happen independently. It often requires somebody else to help us get there. Number 4, act as a coach. I hope these ideas and these strategies will help you set goals and achieve more in 2022. I told you hung around till the end, which you did. We're going to give away a copy of Building the Best to one of the participants that was most active. We'll definitely be, we've been checking the chat. We've been watching we will email you about who's going to win a free copy. And then my colleague, Manoj, who's on the call today, is going to put a link in the chat to allow you to start a free trial of PeopleBox. I don't care if you're a chief of staff or you're an HR leader. You don't necessarily have to have your whole organization to use PeopleBox. You as a manager can start it yourself. Start that process internally to go ahead and try OKRs or try a goal setting technique that works for you. And start the process now of creating clarity and inspiration around what your team is looking to achieve. A free 14-day trial, go ahead, click the link, start your trial today. Just give it a shot. That's all I ask. I am amazed at what having or not having digital tools like this does for teams and does for leaders. I hope these ideas and strategies have been helpful. I'll make sure now to break off some time. If you have questions or things that come up, go ahead and use the chat and we'll make sure we answer them now. If not, it was a pleasure meeting you and spending time with you. I hope these ideas are helpful for you, and I hope you'll start a trial in PeopleBox and give it your best shot. You're more than welcome, Sandra. Zeus, you are more than welcome. Philip, oh, you're more than welcome. This is great stuff. Any questions in the chat, you can add it. You're welcome, Pauline. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. Any questions?